What is up, everybody? Welcome back. It's a new year, 2023. Here we are again at the greatest radio station in the country. I have to say.
Oh, don't belittle us like that. We're definitely the best radio station in the world. WZIS.
WZIS, here we are, of course. Coby Clark here with my guest. Introduce yourself.
Joseph, the lawnmower.
Joseph, man, how has it been? It's been a couple of weeks. We were busy, going home, celebrating holidays like Christmas or whatever you celebrate.
Yep.
Happy holidays.
Shout out Kwanzaa.
Shout out Hanukkah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the new year, New Year 2023. Here we are, man. Just 10 days into the new year. We're back here. First day of classes just started today. We're just excited, man. How have you been?
I've been chilling, man. It's definitely been like a really, it's like anticipations type of stress with me because, there's a couple big life changes that's going on, in the lives of family members and stuff like that. So it's really like getting, ready for, really positive life changes and stuff. So like it's just kind of moving. I see a lot of my friends, a lot of my family moving to the next chapter of their lives.
That's cool.
And, that's really lovely to see, just seeing, where they were when we first met or, growing up with them. And now it's just really a beautiful thing. So that type of stress, but it's, really good, really healthy.
I always say to myself that one of the best things that you can have at this point in your life in college is not only seeing the progress that you have made, but, the close ones surrounding you, where you grew up from, like back at hometown, family, friends, and just seeing how everyone's doing. I'm just happy that we can all, be good at something in our own right. Yeah, and we can all talk about it and be proud of it.
Exactly. People figuring it out. People, just finding themselves in certain things, finding passion that they love, going into whatever they want to get into. And,
exactly.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's absolutely fun. I mean, we just had a great semester, in my opinion. Probably one of the best, most fun, probably the most fun I've had in my radio station career in the last couple of years here. 2022 fall semester, but hey, what will only top that? 2023 spring.
Come on. Spring into the action, man.
Ooh, I like that.
Good
wordplay right there, Joseph Moore. A lot of fun. All I gotta say, I had a good holiday break. I mostly just stayed here around town, worked here at this job, of course, and then my other job, calling games. So, we're just chilling.
Yeah.
And I'm just here. I'm just excited. Let's get things rolling, man.
Let's get it going, man.
Sports Extra Uncut. Do want to remind everybody, last semester we did have it on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. That will no longer be the case. Sports Extra Uncut will now be carried every Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And then on Mondays, of course, same time, Sports Extra, our talk show over on the regular radio station, not here on Twitch, but can still be found on YouTube just like Uncut, 6 to 7 p.m. every Monday.
Oh, of course. I'm ready to get into the action, man.
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. We have two topics of discussion to be talked about here today. And one of them just happened last night, and that would be the NCAA College Football Championship. Now, Joseph, before we get into any spoilers, maybe some people who are watching haven't even heard the final score, I got to tell you, man, this was one of the games that I'm, looking on Twitter. I'm seeing all my friends, group chats, fantasy football friends like that, talking big about this game, saying, oh, man, this game is going to be one of the best college football games of not just the season, but of all time.
Of all time.
Like, they were praising pregame. And I promise you, as soon as that game started, everyone just changed their mind. An absolute blowout of a game.
Man, it just looked like deer in headlights. Deer in headlights, for sure.
Absolutely.
It just felt like one team looked unprepared for the moment and just kind of got starstruck, and, they got, struck in the box score as well.
I think the one thing that really concerned me is going now, after this season, there's going to be the 12-team playoffs, which is kind of mind-blowing because if this was just the national championship game, let's just say it's not like college basketball. It's just not really comparable. I can see the comparisons being made, but really, you will tell who is a better football team than a basketball team.
Of course.
Football, this last night was just an absolute crazy and absurd way to start this new year. 65-7.
Lord,
Georgia dogs TCU.
Georgia dogged TCU indeed. And it just felt like, going back to your point about people hyping up this game, I had a lot of hope for this game because, I didn't really pay attention too much to the college football playoff because my attention was totally diverted by the NBA and like ISU basketball, which has been crazy, which we'll get into. Sports Extra. We are up right now. So like I was just hoping, maybe I can, go into these last two games, just go and like see like this new player in TCU who we haven't really seen in this type of position before in recent history. And so I was like, okay, this is a new player. Obviously, I've been a person that's wanted to revolutionize college football and how it's played and like division and stuff. I've been wanting a total reform throughout the entire system. I feel like right now it's just in a very awkward and could potentially go into a bad place.
Right.
But when, looking at TCU, I saw a couple of dogs there, a couple of, projected high picks on their roster, and I felt like they could put up a competitive fight. I believe that Georgia was going to win this game just from pure experience, there's a level of class that goes into moments like these and like the organization, knowing what this moment is like. Yeah. That does trickle down to the players and how they perform on the field. I'm a 100% believer in that. And, we kind of just showed just the penultimate example of that in this game here. And so, again, I was really surprised, but, this was expected, but not to this extent. It's crazy.
No, it absolutely wasn't. And I'm not going to say it. Like, I was definitely one of the fans to be like, oh, yeah, it's going to be a great game. Not all time, but I still think it would be very competitive, sort of like how Ohio State and Michigan how their rivalries have always been. Yeah. And just like a few weeks ago on New Year's, Ohio State took on Georgia. No one expected how great of a game that was. I mean, some people might have, but it was just, an absolute just firework and phenomenal outing by both teams. And then you get to the championship game, you're just kind of disappointed with the way the outcome had to come because not only did an SEC team once again prove that they are the most dominant conference in all of college football, a Big 12 team, not Texas Christian University, just came up, I wouldn't even say short. They were just, it's just incomparable.
It was so funny. I remember seeing, the TCU social media team for them go in and, ask the players, questions and stuff like that because they were doing it with a, sports creator that I liked, his content. And, they're all saying, oh, how much are you going to win by? Everybody had, pretty much the locker room answer of TCU by 90.
That's crazy.
So, and I get it.
I love the confidence, I love
it. But that aged like milk. That aged like milk in the sun, Coby Clark.
Oh, gross.
And it's just, it was just so funny to go back and look at the comments for that one. Hilarious. But just going into the game and stuff, the number one thing that caught my eye when watching this game was actually a person.
Who?
And that's Keely Ringo. He's the cornerback for Georgia.
Yeah.
And he, just for context, Quentin Johnston for TCU is a projected top 20-ish pick wide receiver. And he's nice. He is actually really, really nice. He's slow. I don't know why he's so slow. But, he runs. I'm sure his 40 time is going to, prove me wrong. But I don't know why. But he's just one of those players that I look on the field and I'm like, I could dust this dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's, a really nice player, really, really skilled. And, Ringo obviously is really, really skilled himself. But he absolutely locked him down. When not locked him down, he allowed him only to one catch for 5 yards. And I think the average yards allowed per catch were, I think it was 0.2 yards per coverage snap. And you can see that. You can visibly see that. It's so often that we don't see when we're in in our living rooms, in our rooms, watching this game from a screen. We don't normally get to really appreciate the coverage, that defense is playing.
No, absolutely not.
However, you could feel his impact just by, just the corner of your eye or the corner of the screen. You can just see him flying around, getting these pass deflections, contesting the heck out of these balls. it was a fantastic showcase, and I just love cornerback play. Just because I have a super high appreciation for it, because I do think it's the hardest position in football. But like, you know, because like, especially when you get into these higher levels, like this is one of the highest levels you're going to play, you know, as a cornerback in football.
I would have to say, yeah, I agree with you. Corner, or you can make the argument quarterback.
Yeah, you can obviously make the argument
tackle.
quarterback, you know, left tackle and stuff. You know, those are really important positions. But I think from a pure, like, not skill set, but athletic standpoint,
You got to be quick on your feet.
you have to be quick on your feet, and you have to be like mental too, because it's
instincts.
literally you, the person in front of you, and like a few dudes like around.
If you're, and that just depends on the coverage your defense
Exactly.
is going for. Man, 3, 2. I mean, it just depends.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, you're not going to really get too much praise unless you get an interception, or like at the end of the game where you get like a, you know, the pass deflection or something. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're not really going to be getting a whole lot of coverage. 9 times out of 10, you're kind of like that, have that mentality of like a big man in the paint in the NBA.
Yes.
To where like you have to contest every shot, but you know, these are really high level athletes. So sometimes you're going to get dunked on. If you're a cornerback playing at a high level, sometimes you're just going to get crossed and dusted.
Sometimes.
It's just going to happen.
I feel like sometimes, like the biggest, like I'm trying to think of the word here, but just kind of a very nice gesture is to not have the ball be thrown to you. Just that means your dude is draped up.
Man,
And you're doing your
draped up.
job great.
Yeah, and it's just like, and again, you don't really get that recognition.
Compliments the word I was thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like, that was a fantastic thing that I saw. Just shout out Ringo, man.
There's
Fantastic
a lot of good
last
players
game,
on
too.
this Georgia team, man.
They're
There's too many.
stacked, especially their defense. They lost a lot of players just to the NFL draft, but they rebounded fantastically, obviously with the score, and it's just fantastic. Who's the defensive lineman who's projected really high for Georgia?
That is Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter. Dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he just out here, like, you could just feel like the muscle and the presence he has, and he just really.
He just declared last night too. Or today, actually.
Good. Like,
So.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm a person, like, if you can leave. Get paid for, your talents and stuff. Even though it's a little bit different now with NIL, obviously. But,
True. It very is.
But, like, for me, it's just like, get paid, young brother. Get paid.
I absolutely love the idea that they've had it for many years at this point, but, like, be able to test the waters. I don't know if you've heard of this Kyle Kuzma story.
Talk to me.
It's how, like, Kyle Kuzma, obviously, he went to Utah. And he was projected to be, like, almost a 50 undrafted,
Yeah.
last 10, last 15 draft pick. And you have the option to, once hearing that, maybe come back a year. You still have eligibility, or you can just say, whatever, screw it, I'm going to keep pushing, make this my dream, this is my year. I don't want no one telling me what I can do. I know my style of play. He did that, and, he played, he balled out in training camp, and then all of a sudden, is that training camp for NBA?
That's
Camp.
the combine.
Combine, yes.
Combine.
And then, of course, he was drafted almost, I believe, very late into the first round by the Lakers. So,
yeah, and I don't sometimes it kind of depends, because you have a situation like Romeo Langford, who's a person that should have stayed a year, or you have like a person like Jaden Ivey, who really benefited from staying that extra year just to solidify himself. And stuff like
man.
that.
I want him to be a Pacer, but I'm okay with it.
I did. Hey, listen, I'm happy right now. Like, again, I always was a proponent that not to get into too much sports talk, because I can
I got it.
tear your ears off with it. But like I was just a super high on Benedict Mather, and just just the games I watched from that passion and stuff. But again, Jaden Ivey was just such an athlete that was just kind of like, but I'm. Like 9 times out of 10 for me, it's always like, stay one more year and give, if you, leave as soon as possible, but stay one more year if the case allows it. But still, just a really fantastic game from Georgia. Again, like,
Their defense definitely won in this game, but the offense did help. And Joe, I got a quick question for you.
Talk to me.
Georgia's quarterback, Stetson Bennett. Do you happen to know how old this man is?
I do not.
He is 25 years old. Now, he is older, and I just saw this earlier in the day. He's older than, I believe, 5 starting quarterbacks in the playoffs right now, today. I believe he is the same age as Lamar Jackson.
He is. He is.
The 5 that he's currently older are, it then is right now, it would be Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow,
That's crazy.
and Tua.
That's crazy. But like, I feel like players like Stetson is like players that probably should be in this type of environment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this is a time where, you know, especially when you go to the NFL, you know, his probably ceiling, like the NFL will allow, I'm not sure like his actual skill set wise, because he probably, you know, could survive as a starter.
Right.
But like, you know, the NFL would cap him at like a bench player or something like, you know, like a second string.
I mean, will he even
You know
be
what I mean?
drafted?
Maybe.
He would be a very late draft.
He
pick.
would. He 100%
It would have to be.
Just because, you know, like the body and like how that works, especially when it comes to like quarterbacks, you know, you just take like 1 or 2 bad hits and stuff and you might not play the same. So like it, again, I don't know, but like still, like this is his niche. You know, I'm sure he's getting hecka NIL deals right now.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So like
That's
you making
a player
money.
like Bennett is gonna, you know, make a lot of money for maybe not a great pro career.
Yeah.
But hey,
You got paid, you know, you got a good college education,
Exactly.
one national, one natty, like, so
Yes.
I can't, you know what I mean? There's nothing like to be ashamed of by
Right.
that sense. You found your niche, you know, you made waves in whatever role that, you know, you choose. And, you know,
I want to
you're
throw
good.
this other question out to you. One more. Bennett, obviously 25.
Yeah.
Does he deserve the ridicule he's getting for beating a Max Duggan in the championship? Like,
What are they saying? What's
I
Street
see
saying,
all these
Coby?
memes out there being like, "Oh wow, 25-year-old pro in college football dancing because he's beating, you know, a younger quarterback." And honestly, like I think the meme that I specifically saw was the 25-year-old quarterback who's throwing to all these top prospect wide receivers, and they're just like, you know, discrediting.
Okay.
I would never discredit it.
Okay.
You're allowed to be that old and still play college football.
Yeah, you're 100% allowed to be that old. I understand where they're coming from.
I do too.
Because, like, obviously you have, like, you know, how old is Max Duggan? Like, 21, 22?
I'd say Duggan's about 22-ish.
You know, so you already have, like, 3 years of playing at, like, a high level with him. And, yeah. I understand what they're saying. I do
too.
But at
21.
the same time, it's just, like,
He's our age, my age, 21.
ball is ball. Ball is ball. You know what I mean? Ball is ball. You made it to the natty. I don't want to hear no excuses. You know, go out there. You know, coin is flipped. You know, the yard markers are placed, and you got to make sure that you get to the other side of the field. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is at that point. You feel me? It's not like you had, like, you know, the world against you or whatever, or you didn't have the talent, because obviously you have the talent because you're in this game. So, you know, obviously you kind of got outmatched. You had to go against a really good defense, so I can't really be mad at you. But at the same time, you can't really be mad at Stetson for playing this game and then
The one
playing
thing
well.
that, and absolutely I agree, but the one thing that you cannot ridicule him for, he played better than him. He's a champion.
I don't know what to tell you.
Back to back.
Back to back.
I mean, just to compare,
beautiful.
Stetson Bennett, easy day, really. 18 for 25, 304 yards, and 4 tutties. That's a great game. They even threw the backup in for a little bit.
I love that. I'll be so happy if I'm the backup. I go in when I'm up by, like, you know, well over double digits. You know, I'm just out here just in the natty game, just playing, man.
And then Duggan, 14 of 22, so
Yeah.
you know, 14 completions, 8 missed completions, 152 yards, no touchdowns.
No, 0.
He had the only touchdown of the game, which was a rushing touchdown, but he had 2 interceptions. And this man had, I think, almost negative 40 rushing yards. And he had a rushing touchdown.
I mean, that makes sense. That adds up. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't know it was that bad, but then you still tell me the numbers, and it's like,
It's, I kind of thought, because, like, I was in, like, I don't remember what time it was late last night when the game was going on, but it was around halftime, and I just heard about, like, the score.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me of that Clemson and Bama score from a few years ago. It wasn't the one that they were really close, but it was when Clemson, like, kind of almost ran over Bama and Nick Saban.
I know what you're talking about. I know what game you're talking about, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it lived up to the standards, this game.
Nah, but
Obviously.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, score-wise, it's comparable. It's just like the talent level it was just
I would never say TCU would be, you know, this kind of team. Because, I mean, if you look at the other teams that were so close to making it, besides Ohio State and Michigan, I mean, Alabama.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else there would be. But I mean, just off the top of my head, there was so many like good contributors. And TCU, I'm not gonna say they're a fluke either. Tennessee, yeah. I'm not gonna say they're a fluke because they're not. They just got outplayed one game against the best team in college football.
Exactly. And, it's not like a thing where it was like you were undeserving to be in that game. I never, people always say, especially when, you're talking about basketball or something like, oh, so-and-so player was out due to injury or, you just got lucky because this happened to our head coach or blah, 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 blah. I believe it was like Draymond Green who had like a quote that winning a championship is like number one, talent and skill. Number two is luck. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep it a buck. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's like, the card's in the line for you, the star's in the line, and, it didn't shake out for you. But, really it's about how you respond.
Right.
And, how, and eventually, if you're talented enough and skilled enough and you are consistent enough, you're going to get to where you want to go.
Exactly.
Eventually. It's just inevitable.
Facts.
So, I can't really say that. But I am excited for the 12-team playoffs.
I am too,
because
but I think it's gonna be a mess.
It's gonna be all things like this, especially like I shouldn't say all things, but like whenever you change like some type of postseason or like how it's like ran and stuff, there's always gonna be some bumps in the road to where people question like, see, this is where because there's already gonna be a set number of doubters and people who don't want to succeed. However, like this team, I believe it's the top 4 get a bye, right? And then, I think it's the top 4. I have it right in front of me. Like, this is what the 12-team playoff would have looked like this year. It would have Washington, going against Bama. It would have Penn State. This is like the first round. And then Penn State going against Tennessee, USC going against Clemson, and Kansas State going against Utah. And I thought that would have been an interesting little slate.
Those are a few good games,
you know what I mean?
But at the same time, I think if you give Bama the chance, they're going to run the table.
That's true, but you also have to think, like, if the other teams get a bye, they're going to be a little bit more rested. Bama's going to get a little beat up. But, it just feels like it just adds another level to it.
A little bit.
I just, like, I love shaking stuff up.
It's good.
I love it. I
was such a huge fan of when they went just back in 2014 or 13 when they made the college football playoff.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Exactly. It's just fantastic.
And they kept it.
Absolutely.
Here we are now.
Absolutely love it. But, yeah, it was a wild college football season for so many organizations in terms of like in the beginning where it was like a bunch of conference and stuff going on with people trading, going here, going there. Deion Sanders made a whole lot of headlines going to Colorado and what he did with Jackson State.
That team's gonna be fun, man. Wow.
I hope so. I really do hope so.
That one.
I still am, part of me is conflicted about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State, but you have to understand that the facilities, and the people that Deion Sanders is, kind of, over, in terms of assistant coachings and athletic trainers and all that stuff, the facilities for Jackson State were terrible. They, especially when you compare it to a team like Colorado, when you compare a team that are going to be in these really big programs.
Colorado was a great team in the 90s.
Exactly. So they're going to have so many facilities and opportunities for his assistant coaches and athletic trainers, players to get more eyes, more opportunity. So when he said that he had to entertain it, I agree. But at the same time, it just feels like I was the person that was like, okay, there's little to no chance that HBCUs can go into, these big conferences. It's just no way, just based on how the finances are set up. Yeah. It just didn't make sense for, some, 17, 18-year-old to go to these, HBCUs and have less opportunity than a lot of these, bigger schools and, less facilities, less, eyes on them. They just have less just for an idea and a dream.
Exactly.
And stuff. Is it possible? I think, for me, I thought it was impossible. What Deion Sanders did made me think that it is possibly possible. You know what I mean? Because he did, I was like, okay, he bought some money to the school, gave some eyes to him and stuff. And, I don't know. But still, I think
it's hard to say.
It's really hard to say.
We got to see how it turns out next year.
It's going to be something that we look on 10, 15, maybe even 20 years something by now. That. And then it'll be look at, okay, Deion Sanders did it first and now here are HBCUs, or it's Deion Sanders tried and then HBCUs are in the same place. I have a, pretty nice connection to HBCUs because, my godfather, he coached for, he was a defensive line coach for FAMU.
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and I spent a lot of time with them in Tampa and stuff.
Cool.
And then went to Tallahassee because he played for Florida State and stuff. And so I have connection with them, and I've always kind of wanted to see them succeed, but just seeing the facilities at FAMU and stuff, and then went to FAMU's facilities and then went to Florida State's facilities. I was actually in the locker rooms and just saw
Cool.
the game rooms and everything. It just felt like if I'm a high schooler, I'm gonna see that, and I'm gonna see FAMU, and I'm like, this is no brainer.
And that's an absolute big reason why some people do get these top recruits.
It's crazy, you know what I mean?
Facilities and money, man. They go a long way.
It's crazy. And then you have to think of the transfer portal
as
year.
well. So
Crazy.
It's a lot of fun, man. College football, probably one of the best seasons in the Cup in a while.
Yeah,
also
for a solid.
Good memories. Until next time, college football. Hopefully Indiana State will do some good next year as well.
Hopefully.
Some improvement is loved. Man, last thing we have to talk about here today. Only got 30 more minutes here on the pod. Man. NFL first round. The first round of the playoffs.
It's set, baby.
Just got done chatting about the college football playoff. Now it's time to do some NFL. AFC, NFC. Man, Joe, I'm going to let you pick. Would you rather talk about the NFC or the AFC first? And then after that, we're going to predict the first round and come back next week to see who made it right.
Okay. Let's go to the NFC first.
You want to do NFC first? Sounds good with me, my man.
It's I think the best for last with the AFC. I feel like that's a little bit more interesting.
Ooh. See, obviously I'm a Saints fan, and I've always liked NFC more. And it kind of caught my eye a few years ago how Fox is NFC and CBS is ABC. Or not ABC, CBS is AFC.
There's so many letters going on right
I
now.
know. All that stuff. But anyway, yeah, let's get into this one because the 2023 NFL playoffs, they're set, man. They're ready to go. We're going to talk about the NFC real quick. We're just going to go from the largest, so the highest seed versus the lowest seed, and then come in. So 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Talk about it right now. The NFC starts it out with probably this team, man, they're deadly. There is no competition. Almost, man. San Francisco 49ers taking on NFC West rival Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of fun, man. I think this is the best defense in football.
I think that's just a fact at this point.
Absolutely.
You know what
I think
mean?
everyone should say that.
Yeah, I think that's a fact. I think probably number 2 would be the Cowboys or something like that.
A lot of people don't tell a Cowboy fan that.
Nah, I'm not. Listen, off record. Off record. I know there's a camera in my face. Off record. But it's they just have a fantastic defense. The only question mark though is Brock Purdy.
I think he's proven enough to where there's no more question marks that should be given.
Playoffs is a different game, man.
Yeah. But they're playing a beat-up Seattle team.
Yeah. I mean, that's 100% true. I think, Seattle's in that category where it's they're just kind of happy to be here. You know what I mean? Geno Smith set records. This is more than a bounce-back year. This is just going from, ground zero to the moon.
That's insane.
So, this is fantastic for him, and, I'm really happy for Seattle Seahawks fans. Shout out to the family that I have in Seattle. They're just, just happy, again, just happy to be here. You know what I mean? But I do think this is going to go 49ers way.
Easily. I'm thinking, if you look back at their last game, it was almost a 7 or 8 point game. 49ers won. The first game was a little bit of a blowout. I think I got to take San Francisco by maybe 14 in this one.
Yeah, I would say it's around that for me too. It's just again, like I said, this is happy to be here, and especially because what the Seahawks are building right now is going to be a team that I feel like is going to be in the playoffs next year.
Right.
Because Geno Smith, still, he's not even that really old. I think this is his prime almost. He's in his prime, and then you go into the fantastic draft that they have, and all their young cats are doing good. What's his name? Tyreek Woolen?
Yes.
Tyreek Woolen.
Or however you pronounce it.
Yeah,
But
fantastic. Kenneth Walker, he slowed down towards the end of the season a little bit.
He was a little hurt.
Yeah,
up.
he hurt, banged up for sure. But, what he did was fantastic. I think it was he set some record for rush TDs by rookie. I don't know if it was a Seahawks thing or an NFL thing, but still fantastic season for him. And so what they're building right now is really good. You have another really solid draft, and they're going to be right back here. So I really am high on the Seahawks, but again, just San Francisco, they just got a squad.
I mean, congratulations, Seattle. Almost didn't even win their game on Sunday to get to this point. The Rams, which is a whole other carousel. Sean McVay coming back or not, who knows? Honestly, who cares? Seattle, I love the story, but, once in a while you run into that big bad wolf, and it just so happens to be this weekend against San Francisco.
Hey, you know what? Football, sports is sports. This is why I love sports. Seahawks,
nice
I'm low-key rooting for you. I really want to see.
Man.
I want to see you win, my brother. But
I only want to see Geno win.
I just want to see Geno win.
Exactly. I'm never really liked Seattle.
Yeah, facts, But still, listen, I'm happy y'all here and stuff. I'll be
very
surprised, but hey,
If they pull off the upset, I'll take everything that guy just said.
Nothing happens. Nothing matters, once you hear. So, it only happens what, happens in between the lines. So,
exactly.
Shout out to him.
And then, of course, we're going to go into the number 3 and the number 6 seed now. So, I'm guessing your prediction would be San Francisco over Seattle. Same as me. The Minnesota Vikings taking on first-year head coach Brian Daboll and the New York Football Giants. Interesting dilemma here. Minnesota, they were going up that scale all season long. And I will admit it, I never agreed that Kirk Cousins was elite, how everyone else said at the station. And I think he has been exposed a couple of times. I mean, he came back against Indy, but that was an awful performance in the first half. That was really still awful. The Saints almost beat him. I mean, he just got blown out a few weeks ago. So at this point, what to do with Kirk Cousins and this Vikings team? If they do lose, is he going to come back? It's just repeating the same thing
over and over again. I feel you. My thing with Kirk Cousins is, it was so funny. I had a argument with my nephew over Kirk Cousins and his ability over the break during Christmas.
Oh man.
But with him, it's always been the thing. Well, okay. Is he the most talented quarterback in the NFL?
Whoa, no.
But is he the worst? No. So, it's kind of like a thing where if you're the front office for this team and you notice that you have, I wouldn't say Kirk Cousins is a weakness. It's a weakness in the offense compared to who you have on offense.
Right.
But, in terms of a weak spot in your offense, obviously, if you have that kind of culture around that quarterback, what you should do, I think whatever, in any situation, what any good front office should do is just try to lessen that weakness by putting talents around him. You know what I mean? I
mean, you already got a top 5 running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
And, I mean, top 5, top 10-ish tight end in the NFL. My opinion, the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Thank you.
I mean...
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins can only take you so far, and I think if you really come down to it and look at the games that come up, if they do beat the Giants, cool, but when you make it to the next round, you're either going to be playing a very, very tough San Francisco team, or we'll figure out the next game depending on how well the 4 and the 5 seed when we talk about that one. I think the Giants are not bad.
They're not bad.
I don't think they're built for this, though. I don't think they could beat the Vikings.
I want to put it's kind of in the same situation with Seahawks for me, where it's kind of they're more or less just happy to be here. Daniel Jones has improved every single season that he's been in the NFL.
Yeah.
And this is his best season so far. And what he's done with this Vikings offense, which is pretty much only headlined by the only real other star on the offense, which is, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
But but what he's been able to do with just hitting them in the numbers, put him in the hands, just being able to push the ball down the field to an effective rate to where you can win games and just trust in your semi-solid defense to, do your thing. I think this is a good, whatever happens. Obviously, if they get blown out of the water, that kind of like leaves a very, very bad taste in your mouth. But like, if you continue to have like a very solid showing in this playoff game and you end up losing, I still think you're in a really good position if you're the Giants. One more good draft.
And they've drafted so well over the last couple of years. Their O-line looking young and strong. The defense is definitely the one to go home about with this team.
Exactly.
And it just so happens have an healthy Saquon Barkley, and Daniel Jones has shown why he should have been an early pick.
Exactly. So it's just with this squad, they're just really happy to be here. Again, I'm probably gonna take the Vikings with this one.
I would too.
But I think this is gonna be a pretty fun matchup. I think this is gonna be a type of playoff where the Vikings do have a lot on their hands to where if a better quarterback is available, that fits.
But who would fit that? That's the thing.
Exactly.
And you don't want to overpay for a Lamar.
Exactly. And I don't even think Lamar Jackson fits with this offense.
It doesn't.
So
it's weird to say.
So it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if there's an opportunity to improve, but just make sure that it fits, because I can feel that this front office is going to get just kind of get get really jittery and nervous and make a rushed move that's not really thought about too much, and then it's just going to result into a quarterback that doesn't fit the system, and then you have all these fantastic offensive talents that you just feel like their talent is going to be wasted with a person that just does not fit their place.
We've heard Dable, the head coach of the Giants, talk about how smart Daniel Jones is, and just in certain situations in practice all season long, he has been very, very talented in the film room, out on the practice field, and then over on game day he's really turned a new leaf, obviously. Daniel Jones, in my opinion, he has shut a lot of doubters off, but only time will tell. I think they're going to stick with him, and I think they should. They really should. There's really no one else that they really need to go get, and if they got you to this point, all you got to do is keep helping him and see how the future folds for him.
Yeah, shout out to him. But I would say Vikings by
the score. I would give it to the defense. I would say maybe Giants by 6, or not Giants, Vikings by 6.
Yeah, I'm thinking by a touchdown too, so I'm gonna say by 7. But
we'll figure that out soon.
It's gonna be nice though. It's gonna be a fun matchup for sure.
And then the final super wild card NFC matchup over the weekend coming up: the 4-seeded Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
I want to keep this one brief.
Okay, I got you.
There is no way, and I promise,
you're going to say something outlandish.
Dallas is losing this game.
Okay.
There is no way. Dallas has been improving all season long. They're healthy. Top 2 defense. They've been number 1 at times. Offense is the one outlier here, and surprisingly, it's not the running game. It's Zeke. It's not the O-line. They're healthy this year. It's Zeke. Or not, excuse me, it's Dak.
Yeah, I was about to say, Dak.
Dak hasn't been looking the best, and they had to have a backup quarterback who came in and just absolutely thrilled them to a lot of wins in Cooper Rush. Dak just needs to be more smart. He's been in these situations. This is finally their year. This is a year for Dallas fans to really consider this your year. I think they just have to be smart. I don't think Tampa has it. I don't care if Tom Brady has what it is. It's a home game. You just got to be completely real here. And I think Dallas and that defense will run amok all over that Tampa offense.
Stephen A. always says, with the Dallas Cowboys in mind, that if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. I don't think something can go wrong. I'm knocking on heck of wood right now, but I do think, like you said, just to keep it brief, I think Dallas is the better team here. It feels wrong betting against Tom Brady because I hate
not at this point. 2 years ago, absolutely, but not now.
It's just something in me again. Tom Brady's been dominating the league basically since I've been alive. So it's just kind of
pretty much
instinctually I'm like, am I really betting against Tom Brady right now? But still, I think I'm going to hesitate and say, I'm going to go with Dallas. Good. I think I really like this Dallas team. I really like these guys on this Dallas team. I think they can, make it, and I really do want to see Eagles versus Dallas with Jalen Hurts in the game.
That would be a very, very fun matchup.
Very fun.
Only time will tell if we get to that point.
Yep.
But now here we are. Just the last 3 games to go over here before we get on out. It's the AFC first round. We're going to do the exact same thing. Go 2-7, 3-6, 4-5. This one's interesting.
This one's fun.
This one depends on the health of the quarterback in Tua.
Yeah.
But a AFC East matchup between the Buffalo Bills, who, of course, we didn't really say this, but shout out Damar Hamlin.
Yeah,
He's
fantastic.
doing great. It was a scary scene, but here we are. He's doing an amazing job. Everyone has his back, and we all here support you. Damar Hamlin, good man. The Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins. I would think Miami can actually compete against the Bills. I think if their healthy quarterback was there, I think if Tyree Hill, he's out there on game day healthy, the defense is pretty nice. It's pretty nice. They got Bradley Chubb, Watson, or Wilkins, Xavier Howard has kind of taken a step backward this season, but he's still, over there making something.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. The Bills are just the Bills, but they also have been showing a little bit of weaknesses this last couple of weeks. The Patriots almost did it to them.
Yeah.
The Patriots almost made the playoffs. It would have been the Patriots here at this point.
Disgusting. But yeah, it's so hard to say what this game is going to look like.
Right.
Because they're playing at the Bills, right?
It is going to be in Buffalo.
That's cool. So, okay, weather is a bit of a factor. However, I do feel like since we haven't seen this team fully healthy, that being the Dolphins, obviously, and it just feels like we haven't really seen what the Dolphins were a few weeks ago, to where they were just kind of clicking.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's just kind of hard to say once you're in this game, especially when you're going against the dang Bills.
The Bills are so
nasty. They're nasty. Man. So I'm just I don't think this is going to be – I think this is going to be a fun game, but I don't think this is going to be a necessarily close game. I do think, the Bills are going to take it by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And shoot, it could even be more. It just really depends. There's a whole lot of factors in this game, 1,000. But I do think since the Bills do have that home advantage, and especially with these 2 teams in particular, both of them have really, really big home advantages.
Oh, easily.
So I've just got to go with the Bills here. Just the Bills, they have inspiration obviously with number 3, giving them a bunch of spirit and a bunch of initiative and purpose to really go out here and ball. And so I just think this is the Bills game.
Yeah, if they needed any more fuel, this is definitely what they needed. And I think Buffalo, they were kind of close a couple of times this season when they played. It is very difficult to beat the same team twice.
Yeah, for sure.
Or, 3 times, even when you meet them in the playoffs. But I'm going to have to go with Josh Allen here in Buffalo. I think they're going to turn up, and it's going to be exciting to see. Hopefully Tua is healthy. That way we can really figure out who the winner is.
But at the same time, you have to think Tua got banged.
It's hard, man.
The definition of banged up is Tua this season.
Pretty much.
So, even if he plays, it's just kind of he's 1,000% probably not even at not even 85, maybe not even 80.
We don't know.
So,
I don't want him to go out there unless he's 100%.
Exactly, but
he will get
football,
more hurt.
especially with Tua. You don't really want to play, but at the same time, it's just
kind of looking like Andrew Luck, if you ask me. At this point,
it's scary. It's really scary. It's really scary. But yeah.
2 more games here. Another division matchup where this has to do with the flip of a coin. I don't know how that all works, but we're gonna find out who is the home team. So that's gonna play a huge factor in this. Is Lamar healthy? Who knows? It's going to be the Bengals taking on the Ravens.
Yep.
I don't think it matters if Lamar's healthy or not. Cincinnati's, they just turned up. They're nasty. They're difficult to go to. They are one of the best teams when playing. It's just nasty. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, if you ask me, if they didn't have that little slow stretch and he was just playing the way he is, he could have easily been MVP. Yeah, I think he has an MVP in his future.
100%. I do think he's a future MVP for sure. But when in terms of what's just interesting about this team, that being the Baltimore Ravens, is obviously Lamar Jackson's health. Because like I've listened to a couple of podcasts talking about his injury and stuff because he hadn't played since December 4th, I want to say. And, with this injury, it is super, like, it affects your game a lot.
Right.
Because I believe it was RC for ESPN, the Pivot Podcast, former Steeler, who had the same injury. And he was, kind of talking about it and saying, like, yeah, it just, just movement, like any, like, kind of semi-awkward or not, like, directional movement where it's just kind of like an up and down, it just, hurts and it feels, off, especially since, like, what they've been saying is there's a lot of swelling. And it's extra weird, and we don't have as much information as we would if anybody else got injured, especially a top quarterback like Lamar Jackson, is because Lamar Jackson represents himself.
Right.
So, like, we don't have an agent saying, like, oh, this is what's happening with him, blah, 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 blah. When if Lamar Jackson don't want to talk about his injury, he's just not going to talk. We're not going to get any information from him. So I do think Baltimore does have a chance here. I do think that, there's a universe where, this happens, but, like, I just can't see the Baltimore Ravens really taking control of this game, just how the Bengals have been playing.
Yeah, Bengals are just different.
They've been playing fantastic ball, and, like, stuff is clicking, like you said. Like, the beginning of the season, it was a little bit rocky start, but now, like, everything's clicking. They peaked at the perfect moment, you know what I mean? If you're going to peak, you're going to peak at the end of the season, go have that momentum going in the playoffs. So I think Joe Burrow's playing fantastic. Really, if he, again, like you said, he should have, been in the MVP conversation if it wasn't for the beginning. But I have the Bengals here, but I only have them by. Oh, this is okay. How much am I going to have them by?
Cincinnati.
I have to think about this one.
I don't want to say it's a blowout.
You know what, man? 3 touchdowns. I'm putting
21.
I'm putting 3 touchdowns in. You can't be 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. I'm putting 3 touchdowns on my Bengals, man.
I mean, Ravens defense still pretty nice.
3 touchdowns.
It's just all right. I'm gonna say Cincy easily, but I would say over by 14. 2 touchdowns, not 3. I don't think 3.
I'm going 4. I'm putting my chips in.
Man, this is a good matchup. We got 5 more minutes here on the podcast before we get on out of here for the day, man. One last game for you. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, the 4 seed taking on the 5 seed. I personally, and I think I have to do it. I could read you like a book, Joe Moore. You know why?
Why?
Because you've been copying every answer. I'm just kidding. Not copying. We have the same exact record.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go a little different. I'm gonna take Jacksonville.
Okay.
Why?
I respect
They have the momentum. They just won the division after being down so tremendously bad.
Dude.
This should have been Tennessee's division all year, and they defeated them.
AFC South shouldn't have been in the playoffs, period.
No.
It
Same with the NFC South.
Yeah, somebody should have called up, the commissioner and be like, just nobody. Just put somebody else in. But, yeah.
The only reason I want to say Jacksonville is not only with the momentum, they already beat them once this year in SoFi Stadium, 38-10. Blowout. Trevor Lawrence had his best performance of his career against this defense. He's going to do it again. He's going to take down the Chargers.
I don't hate that answer, Coby Clark. I really don't hate it.
Thank you.
Some people were saying that, like, I shouldn't say people, but, like, I just saw this one TikTok that was talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to the Super Bowl, and here's why. And they just, like, have.
I wouldn't say there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, crazy. But, like, they're talking about, like, since it was just like the Bengals with a second-year quarterback, and then you have, this type of offense, blah, blah, blah. There could be comparisons, but it's not like, a trend. I'm a very, scientific person. If there's no pattern, then there's, nothing there. But I respect that answer. Trevor Lawrence has been balling. He's been putting it together. Again, I just love it when these high-pick quarterbacks are, like, finally finding themselves, understanding how the game is played, how the league is played, and really the front offices and, like, the coaching staff understanding and figuring out how these high picks are played, should play, and, like, who to put around them and stuff. You obviously have Travis Etienne, who had, like, a really good, like, middle of the season after who was traded from him? Jacksonville,
or James Robinson.
Went
to New York.
Yeah, got you. And so, he having that position, they kind of test the water with him. He performed very well. He's still a threat from the rush end. So this offense is really good. I just can't go against the Chargers. I know the Chargers haven't had like the season that many of us thought they would have going into, this year. However, there's something about, Justin Herbert. There's something about this Chargers team that just feels like they have an immense ceiling. Like, it just feels like their ceiling is really high, and the question is their floor in this playoffs. And I just can't see their floor being this round in the first round going against Jacksonville. You know what I mean? Again, it's kind of like the Giants. It's kind of like the Seahawks. I feel like Jacksonville's kind of just happy to be here. I don't know the hunger level in this team, but again, I just can't root for an AFC South team. Like, beat, a team like the Chargers at the very least and stuff. Even though I've always had a appreciation for Jacksonville and stuff. I feel like, in terms of all NFL franchises, they kind of got dealt one of the worst hands, and coming into the league in the 90s. And then, it just feel like they just didn't have really a good, foundation coming into the NFL. Yeah. So I do have a appreciation for what they've been through, but I just can't do it. So I'm gonna say 2 touchdowns.
Oh, come on.
Chargers.
That's too high, man.
2 touchdowns, Chargers.
I'm taking Jags by 5.
5 touchdowns.
I want to say 5. Touchdowns. I'm gonna say Jaguars by 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think a field goal decides this one. Yeah. I think this is the most equal
that's
game.
Fair. That's fair. That's very fair. Field goal might be 5. I'm going to say 2 touchdowns. I just feel like this is
so different.
It's so different. I love it. I love it, though. I love it. But, it's just really good to see that, both of these teams where it's like a matchup where it seems like we kind of get a very solid picture on what each of these matchups are going to look like,
right,
except for this one. Because it feels like literally it could go either way. It could swing. It could be Jacksonville by 2 touchdowns, and I wouldn't really be super surprised.
They beat them by 18 earlier in the season.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be super surprised.
Or 28, actually.
Yeah,
they beat them by 4 touchdowns.
Exactly. So
I think you got to go higher.
It's insane. So I don't know. I don't know with this team. So, but it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited to see this, actually. You talked me into it. I'm really, this was not one of the, matches I wanted to, super pay attention to. But, the more that I'm talking about it, the more interesting this gets.
I get you.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, this is a great first episode of the new semester.
You know what? We're going to have a great first episode of Sports Extra next Monday, man. Martin Luther King. We're going to talk sports. We're going to do obviously sports. But we're going to talk about some hoops, man.
We got to talk about some basketball.
It's gonna be
we got
so
great
fun.
Basketball on this campus, in this state, all
over
around
the country. Man.
It's a lot of fun, man. Obviously, that show, you can catch us on Z90.7 WZIS Mondays, 6 to 7 p.m. It's a holiday, but, man, we'll still be here for all of you because we love you and care about you so much all the time. This, of course, is about to be going up on our YouTube, WZIS-FM. You can catch every Sports Extra after when it's uploaded. And then this, of course, on Sports Extra Uncut. Every Tuesdays can be here, 2:30 to 3:30 p.m., man. A lot of fun. Everyone here. We matched every game except the last one. So we're going to come back next week to see who won. Was it Jacksonville or Chargers? Heck, one of us is gonna have the lead. We gonna keep
receipts. We gonna keep receipts.
I kept them on a document, man. I'm chilling. I got them all set up. I color organized it even. I'm that guy.
Man.
I am that guy.
Love to see it, Coby.
Slam that laptop down. Get it out of my face, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Please, everyone, if you're interested at all in doing anything like what we just did, come here. 3rd floor, Dreiser Hall. I mean, it's the door. There's a door behind me, but it's not that door. Don't walk through that door, especially when we're recording. You'll get yelled at, probably.
We like doors, except for that door.
Yeah, there's a window. Mm-hmm. There's another window on that door. There's just doors everywhere.
There's a lot of natural light in this facility.
This is not natural.
No, except for this room.
Yes. But yeah. 3rd floor, Dreiser Hall. Please come through. This will be a lot of fun. Man, we're going to kill it, man. It's still basketball season to come, so we have more broadcasts over there. Baseball season just started the schedule today, so we're here for y'all. We are here, and I know you are too. So follow us on all of our social medias at WZIS-FM. Any more last words, my man Joseph Moore, before we get on out of here?
Go Sycamores.
Go Sycamores. He changed it up.
Yeah, I mean, go Pacers, obviously. I'm going to say that on the Sports Extra, but, I gotta say go Sycamores.
I was actually going to copy you. I wasn't going to say go Sycamores, but we're winning the Valley.
it's written in the stars, right? It's written in the
Has to be.
stars. Has to be the case.
I hope.
If we don't, MVC is rigged. They are betting against us. The refs are paid off.
No. We love you guys. We love the opportunity you guys give us, man.
Yeah.
Final time, Joseph Moore. I've been Coby Clark. See y'all next week for another great episode of Sports Extra Uncut. Peace.